What is up, Star Fam? It's Jarrell Seeker. It's May 24th, and I got a spiritual update for you guys. This is what I've been feeling in my intuition. This is what I've been seeing around me. This is what I've been decoding in my reality. And I want to share it with you guys to see if it reflects with you, see if it resonates in any way. If it doesn't, then leave it. But if it does, then take it as a sign. But what I've been seeing lately is lots of shadows. Ever since that eclipse, like ever since I started making these videos, honestly, it was because of the eclipse. The shadows are getting darker and darker. And the reason why shadows are getting darker is because the light is getting stronger. And what that happens is you have a higher polarization. And so a lot of people are seeing their shadows almost metastasize in front of their eyes. Like if you are not doing your shadow work right now, you should be. If you can't look into the mirror and be like, yo, I'm fucking dumb sometimes, I'm sorry, you're gonna feel bad because you're not gonna see how you are hurting people or how you are self-destructing or how you can even be self-sabotaging. So it's so important to be humble right now and to look hard. And when you feel like something is pulling at your emotions, realize that you can't control anyone else. You can only control yourself. There are there is no good and evil. There is only mountains. There are mountains physical and mental. Okay, you're always in control, and you have to choose how you want to be in control. That's that's the balance between good and bad. You know what I mean? There are evil things, but good and bad doesn't exist. That's an old paradigm. That's baby talk. Okay. We have challenges and we have mountains to overcome. We have physical challenges and we have mental challenges. Physical challenges come in the form of work, they come in the form of people. They can come in the form of doing things that require discipline, that require you to do something consistently for a long period of time. When it requires you to do something hard that maybe you have been prepared for, but it's still, it takes the willpower to do it. Like that's physical mountains to climb. Then we have mental mountains. When I'm talking about difficult people, when you encounter people that test you emotionally, when they poke and prod at the parts of you that are soft. Um, don't take that as an excuse to get emotional and lose control because that's how the shadow wins. This is the testing ground right now. If you are getting tested and you through those tests are losing control of your emotions, then you're failing. If you can see it, then you could win. You see what I mean? So for instance, I give you a little example. I like giving a little example. So say, okay, so say one of my friends comes over, right? And he is just feeling bad. He's super negative. He's telling me about all the things that are going on with him, and I'm trying to share with him, or trying to share some advice or just be there, and then the person starts to pick at me, like, you should have did something, it could have, if you were there, or why haven't you been around? And I'm like, at that point you just be like, all right, well, because I wasn't. Like it's one of those situations where I don't know if that was a good example, but it's one of those things that people are going to start pushing, may push accusations on you, or they may call out your behavior. And it's important to look at your behavior and ask yourself very clearly, is that how I want to behave? Like, is that behavior the type of person that I want to be? And sometimes, many of the times, we act away and we don't see how it affects others. I don't. There are many times where I stop seeing myself. I fall into automatic behavior when things get challenging, or maybe I'm not fully centered that day. Maybe I'm off in some way. Maybe I didn't have my food or whatever. Like something could have made me easily triggered. So it's important to slow down. And when you feel hot, do something with it. For instance, the other day, I was feeling sensitive. I'll share with you guys. I was feeling sensitive. So the other day I was working on a commission, and it was a digital art commission. That's not something that I'm used to doing. I'm not a digital artist, but I could help. I'm pretty good. I've been learning. So I've been putting it to the test for this commission. And my wife, she was trying to help me. I showed her after a day's work, and I was like, "Hey, babe, like I'm so proud of this. Like, I really want your opinion on it, you know." And in my mind, I was definitely in my ego, just so you know. At this point, like I'm all ego. I'm like, "Yo, look at this digital art. Like, this is me. Boom, check this out, babe." And she looked at it and she was like, "Hey, are you gonna mirror those letters? They're off." And I was like, what do you, I mean, they're pretty, you know, it looks okay." And she's like, "No, Drew, like these are crooked. And the only way to fix them is if you mirror them." And I was like, that does make sense. But I could not accept that answer. I could not just do that in the moment for a second. I I felt threatened. I was like, "Oh, she's not a digital artist. I'm the artist. How does she know?" How dare she point out the flaws in my work? I've been working all day on this shit. You tell me to mirror the letters? What? I didn't respond that crassly, of course, but I definitely made myself known that I was like, "Hey, I mean, I don't think she, you know, she started working on it. She sat down and she started doing the things that she said. She's like, "Hey, did you save it?" And I was like, "Yes." And she tried to apply the things that she just tried to help me with. And I was like, I don't feel very comfortable with you messing on the commission right now. I just like, just you know, like I understand the mirror thing. I see that, but I just like I really want to do it. And she got a little upset with me because I was resistant to the help. Now you could take how I said it, because of course I'm gonna say it with my own personal point of view, to spare my own tiny little bit of ego I got left. But on the reels, like I didn't want help because I wanted to do it. I wanted to feel like I overcome the mountain myself. But really, the mountain was never meant for me to overcome myself. I have a partner. She is here to help me, but I couldn't accept it at that second. So she was like, "Hey, all right, listen, if you have your commission, and you want to do it, by all means, go." Like if you just wanted me to come here and say, that looks good," and shake my head and not actually give my opinion, then I can do that. But I'm actually here to give you constructive criticism. And I was like, "Damn, babe, I'm stupid." I'm sorry. I didn't even see it that way. I'm a complete fool. And she was, you know, after like hearing her response to my own ego, I felt bad. I was like, "Oh shit, I was acting outside myself." But I was still hot. Like I can accept that I was wrong, but you still have that energy, that fire. Like I felt like I felt like my fucking pride was hurt. I was like, "God damn it, dude, I fucked it up." And usually when I feel that way, I'm like, "All right, I gotta fix it somehow." But in this situation, there was nothing to fix besides my behavior. And the only way I can fix my behavior is by being better. So uh I was still hot, so I was like, "You know what? I need to go for a jog." So I went for a jog. I'm like, I'm jogging, and I'm like, "All right, fuck, why did I do that? What's my problem?" I was like, "Jarrell, you know what? It's your fault. All right, listen, she did give you good advice, and she was helping you, and you're the one being a freaking asshole right now. Go run to the fence." And so I'm running, and I get tired. I'm like, "Okay," and I look behind, and I didn't get very far. I'm not a runner, and and I was like, "Are you still angry?" And I was like, "Yes." And I was like, "Then you're not done. You're not tired. If you're tired, if you're if you're angry, that means you have energy. You have energy to be angry, which means you have energy to run." And I was like, "Keep running." And so I just kept running. And then eventually I get to the fence. It's like down the way, and I get the fence. I touch it, and I look back, and I'm like, "All right, now I've actually run a distance, and I'm out of breath." And I noticed that when I was running, that my posture changed, and I was starting to breathe better. And I started to, even though I kind of caught my, I was out of breath. I was catching my breath in a way that I wasn't catching my breath before. I sit down so much, my chest was kind of slunched forward, and my lungs are semi compressed. I wasn't breathing fully. But when I was running, my chest is forward, and my body is moving in motion, and I was thinking about all the things, and I was like, man, I've been a fool. So I was like, okay, let's go back home. And I started to feel better. I was like, hey, you know what? In my mind, I was like, hey, I can beat myself up. I was like, you should have did this better. You should have, what I mean, run, you keep running. And I was like, you know what though? But like I am doing the right thing. Look, I didn't yell. I didn't go outside myself. I did admit I was wrong. And I'm over here handling my anger in the most possible way, Hyper 9. In the most uh a beneficial way I could by using this energy to better myself, to do something that I normally don't do, which is run. And I'm gonna be doing it more. I promised myself that anytime I feel hot now, I'm gonna go run because I have a path now. I've made a pattern and I'm gonna follow that. Um, and so I'm running back. Well, I'm walking back at first, like I'm trying to get my breath, and then I get to like a few signs. I'm like, all right, like now that like my posture has changed and I'm feeling a little better, I was like, okay, I think I'm ready to re-engage. And I started heading home. And as I like run past these signs, like I start doing sprints. Like I do one sign, I'll walk to one sign and then I'll run to the next. Walk to one sign and run to the next. I'm like, okay, this is like actually my confidence started to increase because I knew that I pushed myself, I used that anger, I alchemized that energy from a more passionate, vile like ego dominant energy, and I moved it to a physical action that is beneficial to not only me, but it's going to keep serving me for the rest of the day. I'm going to sleep better, I'm going to feel better, and that energy, that pent up emotion, that anger is not going to go in places where it doesn't belong, like in my house. So I finally I get back home and I'm like, all right, babe, I ran. Uh, and yeah, I'm a complete jackwagon. Yeah, I had to leave because I was angry. I was angry because I was wrong. I hate being wrong. But you know what? I'm happy that you told me I was wrong because that's what a good wife does. And I hope that you see that, I tried to handle it the best I could. And I do care about your opinions. And I do want you to tell me more than just I did a good job. And that's silly for me to even think that way, and I'm sorry. I'm wrong. And that sucks. I hate being wrong. I hate apologizing and I hate growing out of my shadow. I hate it. But you know what? Feels good after. You know why? 'Cause you can laugh at it. I mean, after that, we just made fun of me. And I was cool with it because I thought it was silly too. Like, I mean, the only way you can know that you're past it is if you can laugh at it, right? And we did. And now I realize that like, hey, like it is true. I have to make sure that I can accept good constructive criticism and even help, not even criticism. She wasn't even criticizing me. She was just trying to help me. And I was like, no. So that's that's a little bit of me fighting my shadow right there. I'm sure it comes out in any other way for everyone else. Like everyone is dealing with that. But as a creator, as an artist, like that was a little part of me. That was a little part of my darkness, my little ego. And we whipped it in shape. Sometimes you just gotta make that bitch run. You know what I mean? So um but yeah, there's a lot of polarization going on. So let me get out of my life and go into what I've been observing. So what I've been observing in the people around me, and I won't name any names, but I've been noticing a lot of people that are imbalanced are falling into deeper unbalance. And sometimes the only way that systems can correct themselves is if they go completely out of balance. That's why we get the common cold, is because our body builds up toxins and it needs to release it. So we release it through mucus and being sick and sweating it out. And like it just, our body will release all toxins. That's what the common cold really is, just saying. But if you understand that, you would know that even nature does that. I mean, nature will burn down the whole fucking forest to start a new forest. Like, sometimes it has to get chaotic. Sometimes it has to get discordant to find that harmony again. I believe that we are definitely, nature is a beautiful self-correcting system, and I think humanity is a part of nature. I believe whether we realize it or not, we are a self-correcting, self-learning species. We can tell because we're in the most peaceful and violent times of the world ever. Like if you look at it, like we have the best physical stuff. Right? I mean, at least in my position here in America, I feel like we're comfortable. We have food and things and shelter, and we're not fearing for our mortal lives. But on the other hand, there's places in the world where that shit is happening and it's war and it's crazy. And then, like, even here, though, there are some people that are in psychological hell where they're so imbalanced. They've been so entranced by screens that their life is out of order and they can't get back in order because they have no good mirrors. They've surrounded themselves by distorted people. And you can't harmonize when you don't have a good reference point. If you don't know yourself and you're looking for an external reference point, you're gonna have a hard time. Okay? You're gonna have a hard time. And I feel like in America, at least, because we don't have a solid culture anymore, because a lot of our traditions weren't passed down to our kids, and a lot of us have been raised by public school systems and our government, that it's hard to know how to be. We don't have heroes right now. So it's important to find them within yourself. It's important that you find virtues, not to signal, but to follow, to stride, to walk in path with. Some of the virtues that I hold deep to my heart is integrity. That means doing the right thing when no one's looking, being you at all times. It's important to have integrity, to be able to be trusted, to do that your word means something. When I say I'm going to do something, I try my damnedest to do it because I know that I'm only as valuable as my word. And if I can't keep my word, then I become worthless. You see what I mean? I can't be dependable. That's not useful. I don't want people that I can't depend on in my life. So I don't want to be that person. That's integrity. I have another one. I say service before self, but it means that I put my duties before my wants, not my needs. My duty is also to serve myself in the sense of my needs, because in order for me to have the best service to others, I have to make sure that all my needs are met. But all my wants come after I serve all those who I'm meant to serve. And I serve the people that I love the most. I live for them. Whether they know it or not, I think about them and I hold them in my heart at all times. And I mean, they're my reason for living. These are the reasons why I wake up, whether whether I tell them or not. Sometimes I have secret loves, or I have to love you from a distance because of the imbalance, whether it's in myself or within you, or whether I don't feel comfortable or sharing my authentic self with you or not. I still love you very deeply, and I'm always watching over my family. Um, so that's service before self, and then there's excellence in all I do. That's these are Air Force core values. I'll tell you that. But these are things that I found that serve my life very, very well. Excellence in all I do means to have pride in all things that I do. I'm not doing things half-ass. The the so one of the big things that I learned about being lazy, okay, when I was a kid, lazy guy. I'm still I try to find the best way to be lazy. I mean, that's what we do, right? I mean, no one wants to work hard all the time. So the best way I found out to be lazy is to do shit right the first time. And you can't always do things right the first time if it's your first time. If it's your first time, do it wrong first fast so that you can do it right second quickly. And take that feedback because it's important. So what I mean by that is for instance, when you make the bed, okay? You should make your bed, okay? I don't like to tell people what to do, but make your goddamn bed. It's important, okay? You don't want to look like a slob. That's what I think, okay? Your bed is important, so when you sleep, you should at least make your bed. It's good for you. Um, when I make the bed, I take pride in making the bed. Now, I'm not doing hospital corners and everything like that, but I know that this is the place of peace in my house, my room. My bed is a place of rest, so it needs to have order. And when I do that, it brings order to the rest of my day because I started off doing something that I take pride in, which is creating order. And when you do things that you and when you do things and you produce things that you are putting your all into, you don't have to repeat the work. And even if you did it wrong, but you did it your all, when you learn that you've done certain things wrong, you will put it in all that work to the next time, and it's less work. So the laziest, like if you want to be lazy, do it right. Do your best so you don't have to keep doing it. Because if you do it half-assed, you're gonna have to do it again and again and again and again. And that's not smart. Now you're just being stupid and lazy. And you're working hard. You're not being lazy. At this point, you're just being a hard worker and you're being dumb. And that's silly. So these are things that I learned during my military experience, and I feel like they've served my life in ways that I mean, I don't think everyone has. So I'm going to share that with you. It's important to hold certain virtues that you find for your life. You have to decide what things are important for you. Those are the things that have been handed to me through my experience. And then over time, I shape those definitions, those values into ways that work for me. But it's important to find values and hold them close for yourself. And that's what individuation is all about. Those things that you find that matter. When it comes to independence, let me talk about this. This is a new subject right here. So right now, if you haven't noticed, a lot of our systems are failing. Okay. That means, the public schools that we relied on, not really doing so good. The colleges that we relied on, I mean, they're not really teaching shit. The jobs that, the corporate jobs that people used to go to, oh, they're all failing. That 401k used to rely on, oh, shit's disappearing. All these systems in which we built the societal illusion that is control, they are crumbling. It's happening at a faster and faster rate, but we have plenty of time right now in this moment to prepare. It's important to prepare for independence. And what I mean by that is you find the people that you can trust, your family, your friends, the people that you've worked with elbow to elbow, the people who have families too. You need to align with them and see what kind of pieces that you can bring to the puzzle, because not everyone can do everything. You can't have complete independence. I'm talking about independence from social systems, because they're not always going to be there. We are very dependent on our government. We're very dependent on these social systems to hold the roof over our head. But like, if you noticed, they're failing. That's because these systems were never really here to help us. They were always here to maintain control. And the only way that you can be controlled is if you're dependent on them. So hopefully this comes to you right now that it's important to figure out how you can be independent in your way, in whatever way you can, but also link up with the people around you. Figure out what's going on and how you can help and form better cooperation with the people in your immediate surroundings, because those are your teammates, whether you know it or not. Your neighbors, the people that are directly right next door to you, when the shit hits the fan, those are the people that you need to know. Okay, you don't want to be a stranger at that point. You don't want them guessing whether they can trust you or not. You want to have rapport. You want to be like, that's the guy who he remembers my birthday. He remembered my name. He came to me and gave me cookies that one time. Like that's when that's when you galvanize. When things get hard, you pull together when you have people that you can trust. And this is the time to build trust. It's more valuable than money. It's more valuable than resources. And it's the one thing that gets tested. Oh shit, as soon as I said that, there's a storm coming, this shit started thundering. When shit starts to get rough and you get tested, you get put to work, but not one man can do everything. It's not a one-man army. There is no such thing. You need your people. You need community. You need people you can trust. And trust is built. Trust is built through action and through integrity by doing what you say you're going to do. That builds trust. Over time, people will be like, oh, that guy's got integrity. He doesn't need to tell me he has integrity. He's shown me with his actions. He's told me his words and he followed through with his actions. Integrity. I can trust that individual. And hopefully that means you fucking keep me around. If everything hits the fan, we can share resources because you know that I'm not going to betray you. You know where my values lie. And because of that, we can harmonize. So that's a big thing. I've been seeing a lot of that. It's important to have diversified investments right now. Okay, I'm not telling you where to spend your money, or how to invest it, but I'm definitely telling you to look into other things besides just paper. Make sure you're looking into foods and resources and maybe like water. Maybe get some tools. Uh-huh. There's many things, salt, all types of stuff that you can put your money into that even if things don't hit the fan, it would be a good investment. Seeds, yeah, things that make you independent. Very important right now. Um, the next topic I kind of wanted to talk to you about was what is I'm not gonna answer that right now. I got a phone call. Um, is this discordance? So if you look around, there is a discordance going on. There is a imbalance in the nature. And I'll tell you what this imbalance is. And not many people want to hear it, but I'll tell you. There's an imbalance in the feminine right now. Okay, yeah, I know it. And there's an imbalance in the masculine too. It's in both. But I'm gonna tell you how it fixes itself. I'm gonna tell you the process right here. Boom, boom, boom. So first, we have the discordant energies that are the unbalanced feminine. So due to our society, and I mean pretty much what happened after like World War II, in the Industrial Revolution, women went to work. Okay, we put them in the shop. They started working, and women got rights, and they became pushed into the masculine realms of industry, and now there's a lot of women into government. But government and industry like that and corporations don't have room for the feminine. Mm-mm. They don't have room to be soft and cuddly and nurturing. That's not what these companies are about. They're about money, profit. How can we best get one thing to another thing? And that is a very masculine energy to be in. That requires you to have self-starting action. That requires you to be in your masculine energy. Every woman has that masculine energy and a feminine energy, just like every man does. But that it needs to be in a harmony for them to be able to, balance themselves. If there's an imbalance, you become toxic. Not only to yourself, but the way that you act, it becomes toxic in your environment, and it forces other people to become off balance as well if they are not used to balancing themselves. So in a way, what we're seeing with all of these we'll just say hyper masculine females and hyper feminine men is because we have a discordance in our energy systems here, especially in America. Like it's America is the biggest one when it comes to this right now. I mean, from my perspective. And I know that the only way that this can get fixed is when we have a strong masculine presence that does not bow down to these systems. Because the systems encouraged women. They are like, I mean, just think of the Karen. I mean, you've heard the Karen, the one who will call the cops on the kids just playing on the street because they found something, or they want to talk to the manager because I mean their coffee wasn't hot or some shit like that. Like they're always just bitching about something. And you see that, I mean, from just those examples, and if you look at all the other Karens, what they're doing is they appeal to a hive authority. That's what they do. They're like little reporters to a hive authority. They're always going to a system or a corporation or a government entity, a collaboration of faceless individuals that will push down power on their behalf. That is a bastardization of masculine energy. So they're displaying power covertly and overtly, I guess, in a sense, but they're using the mechanisms in which our society is built to oppress all the things that they don't like. And these are upper middle class women usually. I mean, that's the Karen, but that's not the only problem. There's a bunch of people that are out of whack, pretty much. The people that are supposed to be running our shit, they're not doing very good. And the reason why is because our social structures and our government structures and our corporation structures are highly masculine and they push people out of balance. And on top of that, they repress but in order, like that's the thing, like they're hyper masculine in certain aspects, but they also repress the masculine because if you have men workers, if you notice, I mean, the wages have dropped, and they want females. They don't want men because men can get pushed and then they'll leave. They'll be like, no, I'm not doing this shit. And they can go, they have the power to retaliate, but they want women. And I'll tell you why they want women, because women don't have the power to retaliate. They don't. That's why anytime a country goes to war, what do? They kill off all the men. They're not worried about the women. Women aren't going to stand up and do anything. They don't have, men have a monopoly on physical force. And when that is taken away from the man, and we're putting in a system where there's a configuration of weak men that are pushing down on everyone else, that's an imbalance of power. Weak men do that. It's because they can't do things on their own. They're not independent. They are dependent. And they're usually dependent on a hyper masculine female, a female to tell them what to do. But the thing is, it's all imbalanced. The only way to put that stuff into balance is to bring back a strong masculine force that also is in balance. And what that looks like, I guess, a good example would probably be like Superman. Okay, I know that he's a character, but I mean these are virtues. He's not a real person. He's not flawless, but he's up there. And but a good example. He has all the power. He's a monopoly on power. He could punch through buildings, walls, and planets. He has literally the power of the sun. He can shoot lasers out of his eyes. He's an alien to Earth because of his an astronomical strength. That's what men are. But I mean, it takes like our struggle is not with power. It's not gaining power. That's not a man's struggle is gaining power. A man's struggle is learning how to control and contain. We are meant to be that boundary, that boundary that should not be crossed. That's where we stand as men. So that anywhere that boundary anywhere cross that boundary or that beyond that boundary that which we're protecting is a safe place. Safe spaces don't exist without men to protect them. Just so you know, we do that. Okay, that shit doesn't exist in the real world. Okay, those safe spaces exist even for the imbalanced people. Those safe people or those safe spaces exist because there are men that made those structures that make that stuff possible. Period. And when they're not government safe spaces, I'm talking about real safe spaces. And I'm talking about your house, your household. If your household feels safe is because there's a man there holding down, because you know that there's safety. No one can come in and abuse you. No one could take your things because there's someone there to protect you. And I feel like that's the one thing that we as guys have been oppressed. We have been told not to use violence. We've been told to not retaliate. We've been told to be accepting and to let down our borders, to let down our walls, to let things that are inappropriate to our eyes just be fine. I am not about that life. Sorry. You missed me with that shit. I was in the military during the time where all this feminization shit happened. And when I came out, I realized the world had become very soft. All right, y'all being soft out there. Stop being soft. Okay, you guys got to do the hard thing. I need my boys. Okay, including myself. I need to get out there. I've been soft too. I've been a little soft. Well, I had some PTSD, so I had to work on that. I actually need to get softer. I didn't have any room for that feminine shit when I came home, but I made room because I had to like I was an imbalanced masculine. I was too masculine, and I wasn't protecting the things that I held sacred. I was just holding the things that I wanted, and everyone was either going to listen or not. And that's not balanced. That's not a balanced masculine. The balanced masculine allows the garden to grow. The balanced masculine is the gardener, but he's also the swordsman. So it's one of those dichotomies. But that's the thing. That's what we need right now. We need someone to be like, no, this is the boundary. Do not cross it. If you cross it, I will put you in check. But that force is sleeping. But I don't think so. Not for much longer. I've been feeling it. There's a call to it, man. I've been feeling it. I've been seeing it. And I think that this round of shadow polarization is all about that balancing right now. And so it's really important. It's really, really important that we balance ourselves. Ladies, I'm not a lady, so I don't understand the deep psychology of of the feminine nature is still a beautiful mystery to me, and that's why I love y'all. But it's important that you take the time to look at your shadows as well, because yes, you can be very wrong, and yes, sometimes you don't see our emotions. As men, we have them. We have a little feminine in us too. All right. There's a little girl inside me. She's cool. I like her, and she better be respected. So, as a lady, listen, listen to my feelings too. Just how I try to listen to yours. I try. Not always the best, but I definitely try. And I try to understand. As a man, it's important to balance that feminine masculine in us so that we can have communication with the feminine, so that we can understand what's sacred to them, what value that delicacy holds, that nurturing holds, so that we can hold that and protect it. So at least we know how to protect it. That's the most important. Like if you can't hold it, at least fucking protect it. Because the one thing that we're really protecting, let me tell you, the one thing, the most important thing that masculines are here to do is to protect children. And that's the one person, that's the one thing. It's the one thing that matters the most on this planet. And I feel like we've forgotten. I mean, with all the money and jobs and flashy cars and hoes and birth control and like all this stuff, we've forgotten about the most important thing. And it's these kids. These kids, they absorb everything, everything. They see it all. And the thing is, like, I know what it's like to grow up with a bad example. Sorry, Dad, I love you, but you weren't a great example. You become the opposite of what your family is when they're a bad example. You try to resent it. You push it with anger or resentment. But the thing is that resentment binds you to that destiny, that future, that fate of being a pattern, of the repeat of the past. And the only way that I was able to escape that pattern was by loving my dad, was accepting that, like, yes, you were a bad example and I need to go find good examples. So, kids are the reason why men exist. Okay. That's it. We exist to protect the innocence in this world. And women exist to bring that innocence into this world. Because if there are no women and there are no children, then we have a terrible world. It's bedlam. It's just savagery at that point. If it's all men, it's ooga booga time. You know what I mean? We're cavemen. Again, when we protect and let the feminine grow and flower, those flowers yield fruits. And those fruits is our children, and those children need to be protected. And that's when the masculine comes. That's why there are three. That's that Trinity: mother, father, child. That's why we exist. It's our lineage. And I feel like our society has made the destruction of our children into a commodity. They have been profiting off our want to not transition into fatherhood. I'm not a father yet, but I'm gonna be. I'm training hard because I know there are things that I missed out on in my life that I know that if I don't get in check first, like learning all the things of the house, you know what I mean? How to cook, how to clean, how to organize, how to know when things are out of order, how to because I know how to survive, but I didn't know how to thrive. That's something that I had to learn myself. And these are things that I want to be able to pass down to my child when I have them, or her, whenever whatever she decides to be or he decides to be, when they come. Or I guess God will decide. They don't get to decide. That's that imbalance shit. Anyway, um, yeah, I kind of lost track for a second there, but I think the biggest thing that I was trying to get at was that the dichotomy our society has forgotten about the children. Who was hit hardest by all of these lockdowns? Who is having the hardest time understanding everything that's going on? Children. Who are seeing the adults lose their mind? Children. Children are rational, but also emotional. They're born balanced. They know, like they're in touch, and they're in touch with their innocence, so they see things exactly as it is. Those are your best litmus tests for shit. Because if you can't explain it to a kid and it makes sense, if you can explain a concept to a child and it makes sense, that means you have a good grasp on that concept. If the child can't understand it, you need to rework that concept. Like, if it can't be boiled down so a child can digest it, there might be some inconsistencies in there. And the thing is, a kid might know. He can point things out. They're really good at pointing out the obvious that you don't see because you're older. It's a beautiful mirror, children are. And I mean, look around you. Have you asked a child if they're having a good time? Do you see kids having a good time? I do. I see a few in places where there are strong families. That's the thing. Like, I only see children having a good time when there's a strong family. When there's not a strong family, when there's a broken family, when there's only one parent, look at those kids. Are they happy? No, they're not. They're missing. They're missing something. They're missing the imbalance. I mean, they're missing either a fraternal or maternal energy. And that's what leads to this discordance on top of all of these military structures, or not military, government structures. And I think we just kind of forgotten that these are the steps we need to take. I'm telling you guys right now, I'm giving the answers right now. We need to make sure that we keep the family in check. We need to keep each other close. And I know it's hard. I know it's hard when the media is trying to divide us. I know it's hard when money is trying to divide us. I know it's hard when we didn't grow up with parents. I know it's hard when we don't have any examples. We have to become the example. But the thing is, like, we have to fucking try, like, really hard right now, like, right this minute. Because, I mean, the structures that are built are not here to help us. Okay? Sorry. Big Brother is not your friend. And he never was. We've all just been fooled. All right, I'm gonna step off that soapbox right now. Um, Last thing I want to mention is that there's a lot of weather spikes going on right now. All right, we've been having some unprecedented weather, whether it comes to solar phenomena, which does affect your emotions and your mental state and your energy. So definitely take some time to ground, take a little salt bath, you know what I mean? Self-care. And be easy on yourself during the solar storms because it can unbalance you like that, agitates the shadow. It just gets you out of your normal mindset. So it's important to take good care. But not only that, I mean, we have crazy winds and tornadoes and like even right now, I mean, it's storming. I was gonna go to the gym, but I'm probably gonna wait until it at least stops raining. And it's important that you see that like this is nature correcting itself. Like a storm, what happens after a storm? A bloom happens. I see it here in Arkansas. It's beautiful after it's done raining. All the plants overgrow. They just bust out and they look gorgeous. But the only way that they can be gorgeous is if there was a storm, if there was water, if there was rain, if there was a little bit of chaos, you know what I mean? So chaos is opportunity for growth and it's order on a higher level. And I wanted to let you guys know that you can always do something to make chaos into order. Like that's what we're meant to do. So step back, look at yourself, look at how you can improve. Take a look at your family systems. Take a look at the friends that you hold close. Take a look at how independent you are. Take a look at all the things that you could be working on right now. And give yourself a pat on the back. Okay. It's not time to be hard on yourself. It's time to motivate yourself. It's time to be self-motivated. Okay. Look realistically. Make a little list at things that you can improve on, that you could step up your game and level up. Take the opportunity to level up now because you do not want to go into this next era 2025 2024. This shit is fire. Okay, it's about to get weird. We haven't seen this type of chaos in a long time, especially here in the States. We've been at peace, but that doesn't last forever. It doesn't. You know why? Because peace has to be protected. And who's protecting things right now? No one. Okay, we got an old man running the country and he's not doing very good. We all know that. I didn't vote for him, but we need to make sure that we make wise collective decisions and see where things are not serving us. And if they're not serving us, we have to make sure that we're not dependent on those things because those are systems of control. All right, I'm gonna stop beating that dead horse. I love you guys. This has been the Starseed Intuition Update. I'm not really sure what I'm gonna call these things yet, but really, I have to share these things with you because I feel like it's my job. And if I didn't say anything, then I would be wrong. So whether you take it or leave it, I love you guys, and I want to see you all win. Okay, peace.